Hello everyone, welcome to my channel once again and happy September to everyone. Okay, so I do not want to sound very serious or anything, but actually I was really hoping to make this video sort of formal because this video is especially for all the parents, and therefore if you are watching this as a student, and I really recommend you to watch this along with your parents because there is a message in this video which most of the students always had in their mind but never got the opportunity, never got the event, or were never able to bring it to words and say it to their guardian or their parents. Anyhow, we move on with the video, okay? So as I was saying, this video is basically all about us students, and therefore me as a student, I am taking this opportunity right here, right now, to say a few words maybe which many parents really need to listen to and bring a change in mind, okay? So first thing first, education. This is all about education, and what I want you to know is education is not something that molds you to your perfect shape. And education is simply a process that helps you to mold you in your perfect shape. I want you to remember that education is not something that molds you to the perfect shape, but it is something which helps you. Okay, it is something which helps you in the process to mold yourself into the perfect shape. But the beginning, it begins from home and it begins with our parents. And therefore, I take this opportunity to first of all thank all the parents around for all their effort, for all their time and energy and economically, financially, spiritually, physically, everything they have done for all their children and every student around, and putting themselves first in every kind of situation so that they could mold that very student to the perfect shape of themselves. And so to explain this molding process, I would like to take a very old and well-known example, okay? That is the example of a blacksmith. In order to wield a sword, now we need to heat a piece of iron to a very certain amount of temperature, heat, and then it has to be hammered hard to mold it into its perfect shape, now to bring it to all its glory, right? And our parents are basically taking reference from that a student has to be hammered hard while being heated to a very certain amount of heat, and then eventually we will turn to the best version of ourselves at the end of the day. But you see, as I was saying, the message does not end there, okay? There is more to it, and I really believe our parents, being much more wiser than us, they will definitely understand us if we try to explain our side of story. And you, us, my dear fellow students, my dear fellow friends, we should never expect someone to understand us wholly unless and until you and I are ready to open ourselves up wholly to them and explain them our side of the story. That does not exclude your parents. You should explain them as well. You should come together and talk to them as well, and then you may expect them to understand something from your side. Okay, so now as I was saying about the lesson, about the wheelsmith, about the sword, you see now, since that example is basically put upon us students, us youth, I would like to refer it in a deeper way. So now let's just take it as a reference, okay? Now, molding a student. Now, first of all, what is the molding of the sword? The first step is heating up the piece of iron. Now, let's consider you and I to be the piece of iron, okay? Now, you and I being the piece of iron, what is that heating process? Who does that heating? Now, our youth, our time of youth can be considered as that period of heating up. You know why? Because an iron is hard and strong, okay? An iron is so hard, it's so strong, but it is so vulnerable when it is heated up. It is most vulnerable when it is heated up. So us being a piece of iron, raw and molded and unmolded, we are the most vulnerable during our youth stage. And therefore our youth stage, our student stage, is the most vulnerable stage of us, and that can be basically considered as the heated portion of that quotation, of that or of that reference. And it is obvious that if we are not molded, if we are not hammered to our perfect shape in a proper time, and it is obvious, it is given that you and I are going to be spoiled and we will end up frozen to the worst possible shape possible anyway. And that is exactly something which our parents are trying to avoid, okay? That is exactly something which our parents are trying to avoid from happening. And therefore they hammer us in the given time so that we could mold ourselves to the best version of ourselves. And I do not blame them for that. But my dear parents, when you hammer the sword, when you hammer the heated piece of iron, if you hammer it too hard, if you hammer it in a wrong process, there is also several chances of destroying the piece of iron in various ways. And this is something I really wish all the parents to understand. See, I am not trying to mislead anyone or anything about this particular topic. What I'm trying to say is, when you try to catch a slippery fish, okay, the harder you try to press them, now the easier it is for them to slip out of our hands. And therefore there is a perfect amount of effort needed to catch them and keep them in hold. And that is the same thing with us youths. So I am not trying to side with the students, okay? I am not trying to side with the students. We are lazy, we waste our time, we do lots of unnecessary stuff in this particular stage, and therefore our parents are forced to, push us ahead of our limits. Now the next very thing which I want to mention is the pressure, the mental pressure. All the students around, okay, including myself, we may not notice it, but we are always under very enormous pressure, and people need to understand that. Everyone needs to understand that and accept that pressure, okay? First of all, we ourselves, we need to express it sometimes to the people we need, whom we need to understand us, okay? So that is first thing first for us to do. And yes, the pressure which I'm mentioning is very enormous, and it can either mold us or maybe destroy us. And you see, the pressurization is mostly upon good students. I'm not trying to discriminate anyone, but you parents, we the students, everyone knows this is the reality. People expect more from students who are actually good in studies or who are actually good in academics. Okay, so that is a given thing to say. And why and how that is happening, and what I want to change, what sort of thinking I want to change right in that point is, yes, a student may be good, some are born talented, okay, but not everyone. People put efforts from their side as well. People put extra efforts, and therefore they get extra results. If you want a different result, you work differently from others, and therefore that is how you get the different results, and that is why they are good, and not just because they were born like that. Everyone and everything requires an effort. Now what I want to change here is, because the better the student is, the greater the pressure is. The more they achieve, the more the expectation goes higher, and that is something which I really do not appreciate, okay? Their parents, if you have a children and who is really good in education, who is very average or he is really low, for good students, for average students, for good students, why don't you try to sit with them for once? Why don't you try to sit with them for once and ask them, instead of their studies or anything, they score good marks just because they study, right? Obviously it's because of that, but everything requires a motive. Everything requires an intentional motive. So why don't you just go and sit with your child for once and try to talk them out and ask them, my child, what is it that drives you to try extra from others? What is it that helps you to work harder than others? What is it that you are yearning for, that you are working hard and getting better results from others? And after that, how about you as a student, you share them what your actual motive is, what you actually want to become, what you actually want to achieve, what road you actually want to walk on. And therefore, there comes the cooperation moment. You as a parent, we as a student, we come together and work together in that particular aim. Once our aim becomes one, it will become a straight way to success, because that is how our mental pressure can be reduced. And that is not, and I myself as a student who is below average or anything, it does not make us a loser or anything, okay? It does not make you a loser or anything. It simply means we are all a winner in our own particular field, and we need to explore that field, okay? We need to explore that field, and we need to know which path we need to walk. Like I said, education is not the only road or the path to mold ourselves to the best version of ourselves. Your parents are putting their efforts not for themselves but for you, and we should also understand that. And at the end of the day, one or the other way, we should also show them that their efforts are not going to be going in vain, okay? So basically that will be the end of this video, and I'm really thankful for you to be watching this video. Even though I might not have said anything new, this is basically something which everyone already knew, but I'm just bringing this as a reminder, and I really hope and believe that you watch this along with your parents. And in case not, why don't you just share it with your parent or anyone's parents or any group or anything, so that a word for a change. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope and believe that I will see you again in my next video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.